As a PvP YouTuber, I love Bedwars, and I've been playing a lot of it lately, but that's gotten me to wonder, where are these Bedwars maps? Are they in a different dimension, are they up in the sky, or are they in space? And by the end of this video, you'll be convinced that it's the last one. Starting with, how did they get there? Here's my theory. Basically, there was a Minecraft world, but to prove my theory, we're gonna have to prove that the Minecraft Earth is a cube. Now, there are a lot of theories about the Minecraft world being flat and round and all these other things, but we can confirm that it's a cube, because if you look in the April Fool's snapshot, the vote update, you can see from the moon back at the Earth and notice that it is in fact a cube. So here's my theory. The entire Minecraft world blew up, launching pieces of debris into space. Those pieces of debris had players and structures on them, and those players and structures are part of a Bedwars map. But is there any evidence? Let's take a look. First of all, how would this even work? Let's talk about gravity. Now that we're not near any large masses, the gravity should be non-existent, and you're right, it is. But what if I told you there was a different force at work here? If the islands exploded off of a Minecraft world, they're accelerating through space, right? From your perspective, it looks like there's just regular gravity, but in reality, it's accelerating upwards. Next up, how are we able to survive in space? There are a lot of things we need to worry about when surviving in space. Heat, cold, radiation, lack of oxygen, not to mention that you literally explode in space. But if you think about it, what if you can survive all these things on your own? Steve obviously isn't a normal human. He can lift a lot of weight, he can run ridiculously fast, he can hold his breath for not so long. But what if that tough body is enough to survive space? If only there was a way we could test this. And in fact, there is. You see, in the April Fool's snapshot, the vote update, we can go to the moon, which is technically outer space. And while there, we can clearly observe that the only thing we need to worry about is air. So that means that our bodies as a player are able to overcome heat, cold, radiation, pressure, and all that stuff. But if you think about it, other than the void, there's no such thing as empty space. Everything is an air block. Basically, my theory is that when the islands got blown away, they still had all that air on top of them, and over time, with all the acceleration through space, that air eventually clumped together to form an atmosphere. That's why when you fall off the Bedwars map, you don't die instantly. You just sort of sit there for a while in the atmosphere, but then the moment you leave, you suffocate to death. Next up, the villager shops. It makes sense that there would be villagers on these islands, considering that they're just regular towns that got blown out into space. But what about the items the villagers get? First of all, with villager restocking and trading halls, we know that they don't need to have a supply from anywhere, they can just get it out of thin air. But what about items that villagers don't sell, like wool? There's no such thing as a villager that sells wool. However, there is such thing as a villager that sells beds, and we all know that beds are made of wool, so that debunks the wool. Wood. Villagers don't sell wood, but they do sell tools, which means they have access to sticks, which means they have access to wood. Sure, some of those sticks probably come from the player, but most of them probably come from wood. Fireballs, I'm not really sure about this one, but since wandering traders are somehow able to get glowstone, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Well, how did they get endstone then? If you think about it, endstone comes from space. And by space, I mean the end. And come on, tell me with a straight face that the end isn't outer space. So since they're in space, they have endstone in abundance. So that's how it would work. We're on a bunch of islands flying through space with an atmosphere going through a blue particle cloud. Wait a minute though. Why does this theory work better than all the others? Well, first of all, the auto-igniting TNT. It doesn't take a lot of heat to light TNT, just a little bit of fire. But it is actually possible to have such little fire that it doesn't harm a player. And since space can actually be warm in parts, what I think is going on is we've got an atmosphere that's warm enough to light TNT, but not hot enough to kill a player. That's why the TNT auto-ignites. This would be impossible if it was on a planet, so let's scratch that theory. Not to mention, if you were on a planet of some kind, possibly in the sky, and you jumped off the island, you'd probably hit the ground at some point rather than just suffocating in the void. So yeah, if you have any constructive criticism, please let me know in the comments. If you learned something, also let me know in the comments. Hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.